out of the vehicle, now.
I'm a trauma surgeon. I'm being called into an emergency surgery.
That's what they all say. Hands where I can see them.
You can verify it in 10 seconds. Call the hospital.
I'm not arguing. You're not telling me how to do my job.
And you're not going to cost the patient their life.
Exactly 2:17 a.m. on a rain-slick stretch of North Briar Parkway, a traffic stop that should have taken 2 minutes turned into a standoff that nearly cost a stranger his life. By sunrise, the footage would be everywhere, shared and reposted and argued over in comment sections that felt like courtrooms. But this was not a typical traffic stop story. This one was about minutes and how fast arrogance can burn them. It was about power and how it can make someone stop listening to reality. And it was about a kind of calm that does not come from confidence alone, but from responsibility. What happened next would shock a police department, ignite a citywide debate, and prove a hard truth. When someone in authority decides they would rather be obeyed than be correct, everyone becomes less safe. Before we continue, drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe, because this gets even more intense in the second half. Dr. Amina Carter was not your average 34-year-old. While most people her age were building predictable lives, Amina lived by a different clock. Her nights were interrupted by urgent calls. Her mornings began with fluorescent hallway lights. Her job did not allow the luxury of hesitation. She was a board-certified trauma surgeon and surgical critical care specialist at St. Anselm Medical, the kind of hospital where ambulances did not arrive with neat problems and polite timelines, but with chaos and consequences. The kind of place where please hurry sometimes meant the next 5 minutes decides everything. Amina was known for being calm in rooms where even seasoned staff could feel their hands shake. Residents learned quickly that she was not loud, not dramatic, and not easily impressed. She demanded precision, and she rewarded focus. And there was one thing she hated more than anything: wasted time. Because in trauma surgery, time is blood, time is oxygen, time is the thin line between a living patient and a memory. Amina also knew another reality, the one outside hospital walls, the one that judged her before it listened to her, the one where being a black woman in a nice car at a late hour could turn a simple interaction into a test you never volunteered to take. She did not learn that from a lecture. She learned it from experience. And on this night, she was about to meet a man who believed that a badge made him the final word. It started the way 1,000 shifts start. Amina had been home for less than an hour when her pager went off. Not a routine consult, not a morning follow-up. This was the kind of alert that compresses your entire world into a single sentence. Gunshot wound to abdomen. Unstable. ETA 7 minutes. Trauma operating room now. Amina did not sit down. She did not negotiate with the night. She moved. She pulled on scrubs under a hoodie, yanked her hair back, grabbed her bag with her badge clipped to it, and was out the door before her brain finished processing the weather. Outside, rain tapped the pavement in a steady hiss. Streetlights smeared into soft halos through the windshield. The city looked empty, but Amina knew it was not empty at all. Somewhere, a teenager was bleeding. Somewhere, paramedics were counting breaths and seconds. Somewhere, a trauma team was setting up an operating room that would be ready before the surgeon arrived, because that is what good teams do. Amina drove with controlled urgency. Fast, yes, but deliberate. No weaving, no texting, no reckless turns, just the kind of speed that says, I know exactly why I am doing this, and I know exactly what it costs if I do not. Then red and blue lights filled her rearview mirror. Amina's first emotion was not fear. It was anger, sharp and focused. Not because she thought she was above the law, not because she believed speeding should be ignored, but because she understood what a delay meant when a patient was unstable. She also understood what late-night stops could turn into, especially when the officer already arrived with an attitude. She signaled immediately, slowed, and searched for a safe place to pull over. The shoulder was narrow and flooded in places. The road curved just enough to make a roadside stop risky, so she continued for a few seconds at a slow, steady pace until she reached a bright gas station entrance, pulled in under the canopy lights, and stopped. Hands on the wheel, windows up, breathing steady. The patrol car parked behind her at an angle, headlights glaring into her rear window like an interrogation lamp. The officer stepped out with quick movements and a posture that said this was not going to be a polite conversation. His name was Officer Derek Holt, 11 years on the force, mid-30s, known for command presence, the kind of cop who believed respect was something the public owed him before he offered it in return. He approached with his flashlight, already sweeping her car. License and registration, Holt said. No greeting, no explanation, just a demand. Amina kept her voice level. Officer, I can provide that, but I need you to understand I am on call for emergency surgery. My patient is coming in right now. Gunshot wound unstable. I am heading to St. Anselm Medical. Holt stared at her like she had handed him a story he had heard before. Uh-huh, he said. Everybody has somewhere to be. Amina nodded once, controlled. I can show you my hospital badge. I can call the charge nurse. You can follow me to the hospital if you want, but I cannot sit here while someone bleeds out. Holt's flashlight shifted from her face to the inside of the car, scanning for something that would justify escalation. His expression tightened. You were going 62 in a 40, he said. I understand, Amina replied. I pulled over as soon as it was safe in the rain. Please write the ticket quickly and verify with the hospital if you need to. Holt leaned closer. Step out of the vehicle, Amina blinked. Why? Because I said so. That answer was not about safety. It was about control. Amina did not argue emotionally. She asked a clean question, the kind that forces clarity. Am I being detained for something beyond speeding, officer? For a split second, Holt's face flickered. The irritation deepened, not because she was dangerous, but because she was not submissive. Step out, he repeated louder. Now. Amina's voice stayed steady. If you believe I am impaired, tell me what you observed. If not, please write the citation. My team is waiting. This is an active trauma. Holt's jaw clenched. Turn the car off. It is in park, Amina said. Officer, please. Turn it off. Holt snapped. Amina moved slowly, deliberately, turned the engine off, and put her hands back on the wheel, palms visible. She was giving him nothing he could twist. Holt asked questions that had nothing to do with speeding. Where are you coming from? Where do you live? Do you have anything in the car I should know about? Amina answered what she could without feeding the fishing trip. She offered her hospital badge again. It was clear, with her photo, name, department. Holt looked at it, then dismissed it like it offended him. Could be fake, he said. Amina's patience tightened, but her tone did not change. Then call the hospital. Ask for the trauma charge nurse. Ask if Dr. Amina Carter is on call and expected. You will have your answer in 1 minute. Holt smirked. I am not calling anybody. Quick question for you watching. If you were in her seat, would you comply with everything just to get moving, or would you insist the officer verify before escalating? Drop your answer in the comments, because right here, Holt made the choice that turned a ticket into a crisis. He decided his pride mattered more than the truth. Holt stepped back and ordered her out again. This time he added a new label to justify it. I am doing a field sobriety test, he said. Amina stared at him, controlled disbelief. You have not said you smell alcohol. You have not said I am slurring. You have not said I am swerving. What is your basis for sobriety testing? My basis is your driving, Holt said. Amina nodded slightly. Then note that I am alert, coherent, and responding to an emergency call. Officer, if you delay me and my patient dies, there will be a record of this stop. The words did not sound like a threat. They sounded like documentation. And that is what made Holt bristle. He stepped closer, voice low and sharp. You are not in charge here. Amina looked him in the eye. In the operating room I am. That sentence cut through him because it was true, and because it reminded him of something he did not want to admit. He could not control everything. Holt ordered her out again. Amina made a decision. Not to argue in circles, and not to surrender to an escalation with no basis. She chose the one move that could force reality into the conversation. She reached slowly for her phone. Officer, I am going to call the hospital on speakerphone. You can listen. Put the phone down, Holt snapped. Amina held the phone up, visible. I am calling the trauma bay. You can stand right here and hear it. The call rang. A breathless voice answered. Trauma charge. Amina spoke clearly. This is Dr. Carter. I am being stopped by police on North Briar Parkway. I am en route. Status on the gunshot wound. The nurse did not hesitate. Doctor, pressure is 80 systolic. Massive transfusion is ready. They are 2 minutes out. Amina's eyes stayed on Holt. Tell the team I am coming. Put Dr. Nguyen on standby to cut if I am delayed. The nurse heard the tension and pushed. Who is stopping you? We need you in-house. Amina kept it professional. Police officer, I am trying to resolve it. Holt raised his voice toward the open window. Tell them you can wait. Amina did not flinch. Ma'am, notify nursing supervisor and admin on call. This stop is delaying emergency care. Copy, the nurse said. We will document. Amina ended the call, set the phone down, and looked back at Holt. Hospital leadership is now aware. Please write the citation. Holt's face tightened with the panic of someone who feels their control slipping. He escalated again, louder, for an audience that did not exist. You are detained, he said. Amina's voice stayed even. For what? For failing to comply. Amina nodded once, as if she was filing it away. Officer, I complied with pulling over in a safe, well-lit place. I offered identification and verification. You have no clear reason to suspect impairment. You are delaying a medical emergency. Holt leaned in, voice tense. Last chance. Step out. Amina looked directly at him. If you arrest me right now, my patient may die, and you will have to live with that. Holt turned and walked back to his car, keyed his radio, and requested backup for a non-compliant driver. Amina stayed still, hands visible, breathing controlled. In her mind, she was doing what surgeons do best: triaging. Her freedom mattered, her safety mattered, but the biggest emergency was still the patient bleeding in the ambulance. And Holt was turning this into a contest. 2 minutes later, another unit pulled in. Officer Marisol Vega stepped out. 6 years on the job, different energy. She approached slower, scanned the scene, read the body language, and asked Holt a simple question. What is going on? Holt spoke fast, trying to lock the narrative. Speeding, refusing to step out, making up emergency excuses. Vega glanced at Amina's badge, then at Amina's face, then at her calm posture. Vega approached the window. Ma'am, I am Officer Vega. Are you okay? Amina nodded. Yes, I am Dr. Amina Carter. I am on call. I called the hospital. They are expecting me now. Vega turned to Holt. Did you verify? Holt stiffened. I do not have to. Vega's tone stayed professional, but firmer. We should. If this is real, we clear her immediately. Amina added, I am willing to accept a citation. I just need to leave. Vega stepped back, called dispatch, and requested hospital verification. Holt watched like he was being undermined. Dispatch connected. Vega spoke clearly. I need to confirm Dr. Amina Carter is on call and expected at St. Anselm Medical. A beat. Then a supervisor's voice came through. Yes, the voice said. Dr. Carter is our attending trauma surgeon on call. She is needed immediately. This is an active medical emergency. Vega's face hardened with clarity. Copy. We are releasing her. Holt cut in sharply. She was still speeding. Vega did not argue that point. Then write the citation and let her go. We are not arresting a surgeon on an active trauma call because you want her out of the car. That sentence hit Holt like a wall. He marched up, shoved the ticket toward Amina, and demanded a signature. Amina signed, handed it back, and spoke with a calm that felt colder than anger. Officer, I am going to the hospital now. Holt leaned in, trying for one last grip on control. Drive the speed limit. Amina met his eyes. I will drive safely. My patient does not have that option. Then she left. Amina arrived at St. Anselm Medical with barely minutes to spare. She ran through the automatic doors, hoodie half off, badge visible, moving with purpose down bright corridors that smelled like antiseptic and urgency. The trauma bay was already full. Nurses at the bedside, blood cooler arriving, monitor alarms punctuating the air. The patient was a teenage boy, pale, shaking, fighting to stay conscious. His blood pressure was dangerously low. His eyes fluttered like he was trying to leave. Amina did not ask questions that could wait. She did not waste seconds on emotion. She stepped into the role she had trained for. She called orders. She checked the ultrasound. She made the decision. Operating room. Now. In the OR, she opened the abdomen and found the bleeding source fast. A damaged vessel, a messy injury, the kind of wound that turns minutes into funerals. A resident's hands trembled on an instrument. Amina's voice cut through it, calm and clear. Breathe. Focus. Follow my hands. Blood products flowed. Suction roared. The room tightened into controlled chaos. And after what felt like both forever and no time at all, the bleeding slowed. The monitor stabilized. The boy's pulse held. Amina stepped back, peeled off gloves, and for the first time since 2:17 a.m., she let her mind touch the edge of what almost happened. If Holt had arrested her, if he had dragged her out and delayed her further, if he had turned a ticket into cuffs, this patient could have died, and that truth sat heavy in her chest, not as a hypothetical, but as a near miss. Most people would go home after that and collapse. They would tell themselves the night is over. Amina did not. At 7:40 a.m., still in scrubs, she sat in an admin office with a cup of bitter coffee and opened her laptop. She wrote an incident report like a surgeon writes an operative note. Time stamped, precise, objective. She documented the pager alert, the traffic stop start time, the duration of the delay, the hospital call on speaker, the trauma bay vitals that proved urgency, the OR log showing when the team was ready and waiting. Her complaint was not just, this officer was rude. It was, this officer's conduct created a measurable risk of patient harm. That kind of complaint does not get ignored. By noon, St. Anselm's leadership contacted the police department, not with a social media rant, with documentation and with a clear question. What happens when an officer's ego delays emergency care? The department moved fast because hospitals do not play when the words patient risk enter the conversation. They pulled the footage. They reviewed the audio. They compared Holt's escalation to policy. And the story that Holt tried to write on the side of the road collapsed under the simplest fact. Amina offered verification. Holt refused to verify. The footage showed she pulled over safely. The footage showed she remained calm. The footage showed Holt escalating without clearly stating a safety-based reason. The footage showed Vega resolving it quickly the moment she verified. Then investigators heard something else. Holt's tone, his muttered disbelief. The contempt threaded through his words when he said "doctor" like it was a lie. It was not one phrase alone. It was the pattern. And patterns are what departments fear, because patterns become lawsuits, headlines, and training reforms. Within 2 weeks, Holt was placed on administrative leave while internal affairs investigated. The department released a short statement about reviewing conduct during an encounter involving a medical emergency response. The city reacted exactly how cities react now. Some people praised Amina for staying calm and protecting her patient. Others said she should have complied faster. Some said Holt was just doing his job. Others pointed out that his job includes verification, discretion, and professionalism. But the key detail nobody could honestly deny was simple. When Vega verified the hospital, the situation ended, meaning it never had to become a standoff. It became one because Holt could not tolerate being questioned. And as the video spread, more stories surfaced. People described stops where Holt escalated quickly. People described being treated like suspects for asking basic questions. People described that same posture, the same tone, the same hunger to win. It did not prove every complaint true, but it painted a picture. And pictures, especially when paired with footage, change outcomes. The department implemented policy updates within months, a verification protocol for medical professionals who claim on-call emergencies, using dispatch confirmation, a training reminder that drivers may proceed briefly to a safe, well-lit location before stopping, a renewed emphasis that escalation requires articulable reasons, not irritation. In plain language, they reinforced something Amina demonstrated under pressure. Calm verification prevents dangerous mistakes. And then, just when the story seemed like it would end as a win for accountability, life delivered the twist nobody could have scripted better. 3 months later, on an ordinary Friday afternoon, St. Anselm received an incoming trauma alert. Motorcycle collision. Male, mid-30s, ejected, possible internal bleeding, ETA 5 minutes. Amina was still in the building. She moved the moment the alert sounded, walking fast toward the trauma bay with residents and nurses falling into formation around her. The stretcher burst through the doors, and when Amina saw the patient's face, her chest tightened. Officer Derek Holt. No badge energy, no command voice, no flashlight, no control. Just a man broken by physics and chance, pale and fading, blood pressure dropping fast. A nurse leaned close, quiet. That is him. Amina did not hesitate. She did not smile. She did not gloat. She said the only thing that mattered. He is a patient now. She assessed airway. She ordered IV access. She called for massive transfusion. The ultrasound showed free fluid in the abdomen, internal bleeding, operating room, now. In the elevator, Holt drifted in and out. His eyes opened briefly, unfocused, and landed on Amina. Recognition flickered across his face like a match. His voice was weak. You. Amina leaned in, not warm, not cold, simply present. Yes, save your energy. Panic rose in his eyes, the universal panic of someone realizing they cannot talk their way out of blood loss. Amina stayed steady. We are going to take care of you. In the operating room, bright lights erased the outside world. There was only procedure, anatomy, and time. Amina opened Holt's abdomen and found the source, a splenic injury bleeding fast, plus another tear that required careful repair. It was a serious trauma, the kind that does not care who you are, what you believe, or what power you carry in your daily life. A resident watched Amina's hands like they were learning a new language. Amina did not punish Holt with delay. She did not lecture while he lay open on a table. She did not make a show of mercy. She did what surgeons do. She controlled bleeding. She repaired damage. She kept a human being alive. Because professionalism is not conditional. And because the moment you decide care depends on personal feelings, you stop being a healer and become something else. Holt survived surgery and went to the ICU sedated, intubated, stabilized, but fragile. Later, a resident approached Amina in a quiet hallway, still trying to make sense of it. Dr. Carter, how did you... After what he did? Amina looked at the resident, exhausted but steady. Because if I become him, then what is the point of any of this? Days later, Holt woke up. Pain changes people. Near death changes people faster. He asked to see Dr. Carter. When Amina walked into his ICU room, Holt looked smaller than he ever did at the driver's window. tubes, bruises, monitors tracking the fact that he was alive because someone chose skill over spite. His voice was thin. I did not know. Amina's face stayed calm. You did not verify. That was a choice. Holt swallowed. I thought you were lying. Amina asked one word, quiet but direct. Why? Silence stretched. Holt looked away, then back. Because people lie. Amina nodded once. Yes, sometimes they do. That is why you verify. You do not guess. You do not punish someone because you feel challenged. You verify. His eyes filled with something like shame. I could have killed that kid. Amina did not soften the truth. Yes, Holt's breathing caught. And you still saved me. Amina's voice was calm. I saved a patient. That is my job. He stared at her for a long moment. I am sorry, he said, for all of it. Amina did not say it was okay, she said. What you do with that matters more than this conversation. Then she left him with responsibility, which is the only apology that changes anything. The investigation concluded not long after. The department found Holt violated standards related to escalation, professionalism, and failure to properly evaluate and verify an emergency medical claim. He received a lengthy suspension without pay and was removed from traffic duty. The department emphasized new training and verification procedures. Some people wanted him fired. Some people said he learned his lesson. The city argued, as cities do, but Holt did something unexpected. He did not go on television to complain. He did not posture. He did not act like a victim of accountability. He recovered. He attended mandated training. He quietly requested to be reassigned away from traffic stops and into a role with less direct public confrontation. And later, in a small departmental meeting that never went viral, he spoke a sentence that stuck with everyone who heard it. I thought authority meant I did not have to listen. I was wrong. Amina kept operating. She kept teaching. She kept saving strangers who would never know her name. But she also joined a joint training initiative between the hospital and the department, focused on medical time sensitivity, verification, and de-escalation. Not because she owed anyone her labor, but because she understood something deeper. Systems do not change because people feel bad. Systems change because people document, train, and refuse to normalize dangerous behavior. Here is the bigger lesson. This story is not just about a cop and a doctor. It is about bias, how it slides into decisions and turns suspicion into escalation. It is about accountability, how truth becomes powerful when it is documented. And it is about professionalism, how the right person can hold two realities at once. Amina asserted her reality on the roadside without becoming reckless. She stayed calm without becoming passive. She fought for her patient without turning the moment into chaos. And when power shifted and Holt became the vulnerable one, she did not abuse that shift. She did her job. Knowledge is an equalizer. Documentation is protection. Verification is the difference between I think and I know. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay steady while someone else loses control. So what should people take away from this? First, if you are in a high-stakes situation, speak clearly and calmly. Panic feeds escalation. Second, offer immediate verification. Credentials, employer contact, dispatch confirmation. Make reality easy to confirm. Third, choose safe environments. Well-lit public spaces protect everyone. Fourth, document. Time, location, officer names, what was said. Facts outlive emotions. Fifth, remember that authority does not automatically equal correctness. Procedure matters. And sixth, never underestimate the power of professionalism. It is not weakness, it is control. Final question for you. If you were in Amina's position, would you have handled it the same way? Comment below. Subscribe for more stories about accountability, resilience, and real consequences. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that verification matters and that a few minutes can change everything.